So the first water fast, in the end, it was 50 days. The first water fast. The more money you have, the more people you can help. The divorce rate is over 50%. That doesn't mean that the other 50% of couples are happy. And the first video that I will do, that I will say I'm announcing that I will be running for the president of the Czech Republic.
I gotta say, I would vote for you. Hi, you're watching Healthy Alternative, and today we have an incredibly special guest coming all the way from the Czech Republic. George is with us to share an amazing story about his wellness journey, his enlightenment, and all of the things that he received along the way. So if you guys are ready to hear something extremely different from the norm and really open up your mind to a different perspective and receive something beautiful, stay tuned. That's coming up next. So, where are you from, George?
So I'm from the Czech Republic.
You are the first guest on my show from the Czech Republic.
Yes.
So we're gonna.
And how many have you done from? How many interviews have you done from people from Europe?
Less than 10 for sure. Maybe 4 or 5.
Well, first of all, Chris, thanks for reaching out to me, because I try to reach out like this also to people, and I think that it's because when I received the email from you, at first I was really curious if it's for real, because in today's world, at least my experience is that the world is full of fake people and people trying to take advantage of others. That I always feel that the genuine people have it really really hard, because in order to get to someone, you have to get through a huge barrier where in the beginning everyone thinks, oh, he's trying to get my money, he's trying to trick me into something. So I'm really glad that you reached out to me, because I always feel that it makes me feel, because I don't really believe in the well, I respect it, but I feel that I don't care if someone lives in that country or that country. I feel that in the end we are all humans, and it's just a matter of time before we all lose the perception of viewing someone from being from another country. Because personally, I don't really care where your mother on this planet gave birth to you. I care what kind of person you are, and so every time someone reaches like this, I always feel. Always feel it. I always feel. I feel like I'm not alone, because to start the story, actually in the past I started my online presence on a Czech public profile that I had on Facebook. So I started there, and I was just commenting what I saw around me, politics and things I didn't like, or things I felt like could be changed. And I thought that the changes could be like were so obvious that I was surprised that people would not care about it. So I started on Facebook, and I would say that very fast I got to about 20,000 followers. Now, I don't know if that's a lot or not, but for Czech Republic, for this Facebook profile, and I think it was about 10 years ago, it was actually quite big. And people ask me, "Hey, so you are criticizing this or suggesting that, so let's do something." So I did a video where I said, "Hey, you know what? Join me and let's do a movement and let's change things in the Czech Republic." Now, when I say in the Czech Republic, you know, don't you like it doesn't matter if it's Czech Republic. It's basically that anyone, like one, you probably experienced it, right? People go through life and they say, "You know what? I don't like this," and then you say, "Well, why don't you do something about it?" And usually they don't do anything about it, right? But then, especially, I like it in the series South Park, where like one of the kids, he's like Cartman, he's like, "I'm gonna change this," and then
Yeah.
2 weeks later, there's a new law and the society changes. So what I did is I started publicly, telling people, "You know what? I have a vision," and people said, "Okay, so what's your vision?" And what I did is what I think every politician should do. And I rented a public theater. And I said, "You know what? In this venue in Prague, I want to give you my vision, what we could do as a society and how we can change Czech Republic." Right? and I did a little promo. I paid for my money, and I think about 70 or 80 people from all over Czech Republic they came, and I gave them a very simple vision, which is a vision actually for any country, and that is, right. You probably feel it also in the States, and I watch, and it's like all over the world, right? Since we are all
Hmm.
connected, you can, because of what's happening in, Russia, Ukraine, what's happening in Palestine, Israel, what's happening with China and Taiwan, right? What's happening with politics inside of US, right? The immigration, all of this, right? I feel that, and especially after what we experienced after the pandemic, the whole world, I think it's like
Hmm.
the first time in today's, like, this is the first time in the history of humans that, and especially, and I feel it in my life, that, and I don't know about you, Chris, but like, it's like the first time in my life that I have no idea what's going to be next week. That every morning I can wake up, I can turn on the news, and I can hear that some big war started, right? So you get to the point where, a you have no idea what's going to happen in the future. And one of the key points about my vision for the Czech Republic is that we have to sort of change the education, because I feel that even though what has changed completely the way we view our society all over the world since the pandemic and all the wars that are happening right now, I think that we should completely change the way everyone is, viewing the society and the world, and it should start by changing the way we educate our kids. So I think, so that was one of my visions. But the reason I'm saying that is that in the end, the Czech Congress noticed my initiative, and I was invited into the Czech Parliament to speak about my vision. So I start. So I, yeah. So I had this. Also, it was televised, and
Mm.
yeah. So the reason I'm saying this is that I felt you know that you can actually really reach out through the internet to people when you really have the message. I don't, because of course you can reach people by doing interesting and funny videos that give people dopamine when they watch them, right? But I'm
Right.
talking about that sometimes people feel that it's futile to say something standard and normal without any you know what I mean, like that. When I do my videos, I just sit and I speak. I don't have any flashy things, because I feel that it's about the message. I always compare it to when what do you have when the water of life, you know. And I don't know if you saw the movie Indiana Jones, and I think it was the episode, I think it was the third one, where they're looking for the Grail, the Holy
Hmm.
Grail, and then
Yeah.
Indiana Jones is supposed to pick one, and there's like so many cups, like big gold ones, right? And then he chooses like the dirtiest one, and
Right.
that's exactly what I always feel that when I did a video about how for example water fasting can kill cancer cells. I was surprised that when I published it, someone would tell me, "Oh, the fonts that you used in that video, they're really old, right?" So I feel like exactly like the metaphor that Jesus comes with or someone with the Holy Grail and says, "Look, here's the if you drink this, you'll be healthy and forever." And someone
Hmm.
would say, "Oh my God, should I drink it from this cup?"
Right.
Right? So I'm really happy, and again, it's tying to why I'm doing. Again, I'm sorry for talking this long, but I just want to give the background why I try to publish things, and I feel that you probably have it the same way, which is that that I feel like I have the message that I feel that I'm saying something that I have experienced. So
Hmm.
basically, through the internet, I'm walking and I'm saying, "Hey, hello, humans." I have this experience as I struggle through life here in the Czech Republic. You're right. One is I had a fat body and I wasn't feeling well, and this is what I did. So hey, test it out. If you feel the same way, maybe it will work for you, right? So I feel that this is what I'm doing, and again, to tie it to going from Facebook to YouTube. So I started this initiative. I went to the parliament, but then I realized that I wasn't in shape to lead this movement by myself.
Uh,
And I realized that before I start changing the world, I
mm.
have to change myself. And
That's it.
yeah, and it's exactly, I know you probably heard of Jordan Peterson,
Hmm.
right? And it's like so true, like always start first by cleaning up your room. It's like a little spiral. Start with
Mm,
yourself, right? So like fix your place so it's clean, and fix yourself so you're fine, and then start fixing your apartment building, your house, then start fixing your neighborhood. And many times, it's really sad that people jump, especially young people, and I understand that, that's how they feel, but they jump right away from from the room. It's like, forget the room, forget the rent, forget that, forget I don't have an income, forget I haven't found even any skill that anyone else would be willing to pay for so I can survive on this planet. But I
mm,
already know that global warming is the worst thing, and I'm going to dedicate my life to that. So, you know, I feel that we should always start with ourselves. So when I was looking at this movement, I realized that, not only from my point of view that I should start with myself, and when I say I should start with myself, I was pretty well off. I had a really high paying job for even for like U.S. standards. I had a company with 10 employees that was doing PR and marketing. So I was from this point of view, I was doing well, but
hmm
somehow I felt that I did not did as well as I thought, because I wasn't happy in my life, right? I
mm,
wrote you that this I sort of like the because I talk about water fasting a lot, but water fasting, it's just part of life, and that part of life for me started in 2017, which is about the time that this event in the Czech Congress was happening. And even though I had, like, some people would say, "Oh my God, George, this guy George, he is it. He's involved in politics. He's he has this business. He's working in this corporate company. He's doing this Facebook profile." But inside, I wasn't happy, and
mm,
it doesn't even matter what there were like personal reasons. I didn't have my family life wasn't great. I also had some what do you call it? I also had some debt. So even though I was making a lot of money, I had to pay also loans, and I just didn't enjoy life. And exactly in 2017, which was a year after Congress, and again the Congress thing, I stopped because I didn't feel it was appropriate for me to, because I saw that people were looking up to me, but somehow I felt like they what it, they were after was sort of like an image of me, but it wasn't
mm,
exactly the situation where I was, because I felt like that it's sort of fake to tell people, "Hey, come on, follow me. I can show you the way." Even though even now I'm still convinced that the way I was talking about, it's a really good way, but I think that if you're going to be a president, if you're going to be a leader of people, your life should be in order, right? So that's why I sort of put it on hold, and I wanted to fix my life, because I realized that that's the same issue with the people around me. That the people around me were not also not happy as well, right? So if you want to do a movement with people who are unhappy,
mm,
that's really bad, because the people, and I think it's everywhere in the world, that because usually people prefer, and you know it yourself, people prefer to blame the surroundings, and they don't look inside themselves, right? And it's the same thing with life. People say, Biden is bad, Trump is bad, in Czech Republic, right? This government, this premier, oh my God, that's the worst one we had. We should have the one before, when we, and I always say, that's not how it is. The politicians, they're just like, they're one of us, right? It's just normal people like we are, right? So
mm,
in Czech Republic, I always say, it's not that we have 10 million hardworking, truth telling people. No. And in fact, I'm really surprised. And I'll tell you one thing, and I'll use this opportunity, since maybe some people will hear it. I'll tell you one very interesting thing, right? People always complain about political systems, right? You probably heard it. Communism is the worst thing, right? That's what I've been hearing my whole life. Communism is the worst thing. Well, what I'm surprised about it, no one has ever said what I'm going to say, is that it's not about the system. Communism by itself, it's not bad at all.
mm,
This, it's it's relative to how conscious the society is. And
Yeah.
as an example, Chris, all of us, I would say 90% of us, we all grow up in communism because our family, our fridge in our kitchen is ran like a communism. Everyone, everyone just takes what they need to take. They
Mm,
only take as much because like again, like at least where I grew up and the children I brought up, I cannot imagine that there was no one in our family who would open the fridge and whatever they would see, they would take it all to themselves, or
right.
even would like hide it somewhere in the room. In fact, I
Hmm.
experienced many times that someone would say, "You cannot take all of it if you are not going to eat it. Just take what you're going to eat and make sure you also leave for the others." And it was like
Mm,
normal. So that's what I'm saying is that, so how come communism doesn't work outside of your outside of your home? Well, because when you're outside of your home, you view everyone as others. You
right.
don't view them as a family, right? So the reason I'm saying this is that the political setup, it's completely, it's based on how let's say conscious the society is, right? If we have a society where people are they feel as a family, then there you can move closer to socialism or capitalism. But in societies, and it's for Czech Republic is example of it, you know, if people don't feel, you feel that the others are strangers, then you know you feel that you have to get ahead of them. And there are some between among us, and again going back to how I was glad you reached out and that you were real in today's society when everything is fake, that it's you live amongst people where you have people who cheat others, you know right? And therefore, communism, the way it was, never worked because the societies, the humans living under what was called communism, were not acting as everyone was a family. No, in Czech Republic, everyone knew there was a rule which said he who doesn't steal from the state, it's like if you were stealing from your family. In other words, it was an obligation for your to your family to steal from the government, from the state. So if everyone lives in this setup, you can call it communism, but in the end, you will get some disgusting thing which has a label communism. So from yeah, but even though everyone lives in the principle of communism in their family, they are not able to accept it, right? So
Mm,
going going back to the 2017 and saying I have to start with myself, I realized, oh my God, I have to start with also every individual person, because I feel that when I look around the people that my friends, my coworkers, like people I see on TV in real life, I feel that people were not happy. That the way people live their life, they struggle. It's like a struggle. People don't even understand why they live life. Which should I eat a lot? Should I not eat a lot? Should I how should we live life? So I realized that, and because it was like a really in 2017, I was really down in my life, and I was thinking about ending my life actually, because I felt like
mm,
there was no point. But then I realized that I still had family members, and I didn't want to leave all the struggles that I had here to them. So I said, okay, I'll put the burden of life on my shoulders, and I'll start living. Yeah, and I said I have to change something. And one of the things in 2017 I did was that I started meditating, because I had so much stress and I didn't enjoy life and I hated life. Because and I'm sorry, I'm going to sound depressive, but in 2017, I had thoughts like, like, why should I live life, right?
mm,
And then someone would tell me, well, because your parents or God gave you this gift of God, right? Or gift of life. Yeah, who cares?
mm.
Like what? Maybe this is I just in the company where I work, I had a birthday and they gave me a frog. They gave me a frog, right? I just get it as a gift in my
A
company.
gag.
right? Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, it's a little frog, but what it means that the same day I had to buy a terrarium, right? Then you have to buy the insides of the terrarium. Then you have to buy all the vitamins, all like, and even though they give you a little, for a few bucks, a little frog, you basically get a full time job, taking care of this frog, right?
Yeah.
And and that's exactly what when I look at it, you guys say, okay, okay, thanks for this gift. So what's this gift that every day I have to be, worrying about the people I love if they are okay. That every day I have to worry if someone's gonna, rob me or not. That every day
Mm.
I have to, I have to think about if I lived according to these laws or these laws or these laws. That every day, and I have to be thankful for this. Like, why? This is what I was asking myself, and I was like, I don't see a reason. So then, at 2017, I said, okay, I have to do it because the best thing for me to would be to finish this life for myself, but I know that it would hurt my son and my parents. I don't want to do that. So okay, I'll continue. And one
Mm.
of the ways to get through this was that I started meditating. And as I was reading about how to meditate, I found that there's something called Chris. It's called enlightenment, and I found out why that some people when they meditate, they can reach an enlightenment, and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna be enlightened, and that's the way out of this. So I also read that people meditate for many years and they don't even reach this enlightenment. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna meditate as much as possible. So I would wake up at 2 a.m. and I would meditate till 7 a.m. And I would do this every day, right? I would be
Wow.
meditating, reading about it. But then I realized that, hey, if people are doing it for this long and they are not reaching it, maybe there's like a, maybe there's like a dead end where you think you are meditating, but in fact you are not, or and you are on your way to enlightenment. But maybe that's like the tricky way that maybe there's a different way which
Mm.
is like really easy, but it's sort of hidden from people, and that's why people take the like sort of like a, like they meditate, they feel they're reaching enlightenment, but in fact it's the dead end, and they should have done it in a different way, but because it's done in a different way, they cannot find it. Right? It
Mm.
reminds me. Are you a musician by any chance? Do you,
I'm not, but I come from a very musical family.
now have you heard of a term called perfect pitch?
Perfect pitch. I wouldn't know what that is.
Okay, so I think that you might not know the term, but perfect pitch is, so most of us when we hear music, right? You can probably tell if I make two tones like la la, you can tell that one is lower and the other one is higher. But
Hmm.
when you have a perfect pitch, you can imagine it like with the intervals. It's like black and white, but they can hear the colors of the pitches. So when they
Mm.
hear the sound, they can tell you immediately if it's C sharp or C major, right? They can exactly tell the pitch, but they can tell it because they see it as a color,
Right.
right? And they people always say that that if you don't learn it as a young child, that later on in life you cannot reach it, right? It's like one of those like things like, if you don't learn chess when you were young, then when you're an adult, it's hard to learn it, right? And I felt that this is exactly the because you can actually learn perfect pitch, same as you can reach enlightenment, but you have to realize that probably because everyone, all the adults, are trying to do it in a certain setup that they are
Right.
used to, that it's sort of they end up in they think they are learning perfect pitch, but they are not learning perfect pitch. They are just listening black and white many, many times over, and over the years they cannot reach it, or they say, "Oh my God, it's not working." So I always feel
Mm.
that it's about perception and how to approach how to approach the problem, right? So that's exactly what I was thinking about enlightenment and meditation. that I thought to myself, you know what, I have to change the way I meditate and I approach this whole thing. And I changed some things, and then I experienced this changed in the beginning of 2017. It was May, and somehow I could describe it just by the perception. I started experiencing life switched immediately. Like it's like I always like to compare it to these glasses, right? It's like you take them off, and all of a sudden you see everything in a different shade. That's one of the reasons I
Hmm.
wear these glasses. That I have them as a reminder that we all have these filters, right? The cognitive biases that I always, when I have this, it's like the analogy when I edit a photo, when I wear these glasses and I do the filters, I always have to have it in mind that there is like a reddish bias, right? When I filter it.
Right.
But it's like the same thing that it reminds me that when every time when I walk into a room, every time I wear these glasses, I'm always conscious that the other person, their first thought to themselves would be, oh my God, what kind of an idiot this guy must be if he's wearing these red glasses. Because, Chris, I wear them all the time. I work as a marketing director in an IT company. So, on one side, and I've been doing international business and this corporate stuff my whole life. So, on one
Hmm.
side, I meet with, like companies, like, like all the top manufacturers of IT. And on the other side, I meet with companies who buy this IT, and I come to meetings and I wear these glasses. And I always, sometimes people ask me, and I said, you know what, I have them as a reminder that when I walk into the room, that even if let's say people sometimes say the energy in the room, yeah, that's a cognitive bias. The fact that the brain is showing me that there is some energy doesn't mean that immediately I have to like subdue to this energy. No, I
Mm.
can, you know what I mean? So I have this as a constant reminder that we have these biases, and because I have this on my eyes, that's how it's like a big word, or like like a mnemonics. So so in 2017, it was in May, I changed the way I perceive life, and I was really surprised because I started acting differently, and I would say that the first year I was just shocked. And then starting, I would say from 2018, I started keeping little notes and notices if I can define what I do differently. And eventually I started seeing patterns with what I do differently. And then I called it entry point philosophy. And basically, I call it entry point philosophy, which I like it analogies because they really make things simpler. So for me, entry point analogy is like these glasses. It's the way I perceive reality. So, wh- and I think by chance in 2019, this led into me starting water fasting. Now, before I get to water fasting in 2019, a year before that, when I weighed 135 kilograms, which is some 280 or 290 pounds, I one day I decided I was going to be running. I would start running. So and I knew that I wanted to do 1 hour runs, and I had absolutely no free time. So the only free time that we all have, Chris, is that we wake up earlier, right?
Sure.
So I would be so every day, like normally I would wake up, let's say at 7 a.m. So if I wanted to do a 1 hour run, if I wanted to take a shower, so I had to wake up 2 hours earlier. So I would set up my clock for 4:30 in the morning, and I would go outside, and I would just turn right, and I would run for half an hour straight one way. And when I got to like half an hour away from my place, I would turn and I would run back. And I remember the first run was 30 minutes, and going back it was 36, 37 minutes. So an hour and 7 minutes, and it was about over 7 kilometers. I don't know what it's in miles, but 7 kilometers. But it doesn't matter. It was 7 kilometers, and I I ran it, and I was just dead after, right? So I'm
Mm.
like, oh, I feel like because I used to be a competitive swimmer, so I felt like, oh my god, I'm so out of shape. I
Right.
gotta go. I'll go again tomorrow. So I went again the next day, and I felt like I wasn't. I felt like I ran it again, and I felt like I was cheating a little bit. That I wasn't like giving all of it into it. So I went again the third day, and then the fourth day, and then the fifth day, and then one day it was 8 months later, and I realized
Wow.
that every day, without skipping a day, I managed to do this one run. Right now, this was really crazy, right? Because many times, I would come home, I would come at home, let's say at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., not by myself, and I would wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and the person would say, "What are you doing?" I said, "Sorry, I gotta go for a run." So, I would run like this every day. But somehow I felt that, and of course, and I sent you photos. So there was like four. I think there were four pictures, and the first one I'm really fat. So that's the one where how what I look like when I started running. And the
Okay.
second one, and then there's a second one where I look muscular. So that's the one where, as I was running every day, I had the chance to have an office with a gym. So I would also, during work hours, I would, just run to the gym, do a few, dumbbells, barbells, and then so that's what I look like, right? But still, I I felt physically it wasn't that great. So I felt I wanted to change it. That I felt like I was becoming a slave, right? Because there's I don't know if you heard of the gentleman. I don't, he's not alive anymore, but his name is Ramdas. He went by the name Ramdas, and
Mm-mm, no.
somebody was like a spiritual teacher who I guess his background was in Hinduism, but he was from the States, and then and well anyway, and he always said that you know that people get attracted to a method, right? So, for example, you have a meditation method, like I don't know, you watch the flame of the candle and you do some type of breathing, but then eventually you start, like you enjoy this method so much that at a certain point it taught you it gave you what it was supposed to give you, and then you should like let it go. It's like when you squeezing a lemon, right? At a certain point, like you don't have to squeeze it anymore because there's no more drops,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so yeah, so I felt like this running thing that I was sort of becoming a slave. That I said, okay, because I was curious, right? Like it wasn't that I told myself you have to run every day, but I felt I will be running as long as it, because I wanted to find out for myself if, like, let's say, a modern way living male in a Western world, if it's possible, every day to run without like killing myself, of course. And yeah, and I did it. So then I felt like I should like stop, but I felt like I want to follow up with something. And I had a friend, and she told me, George, I did water fasting, and for 21 days, I uh, I was drinking water only, and I really experienced interesting states of consciousness. And when she
Mm-hmm.
told me this, which was about, I think it was like the 10th month of running, I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. So I started reading about it, about water fasting on the internet. And I was so shocked because, like where in the Czech Republic, when you do a toast, you always say, you probably maybe heard the Russian version, na zdraví, right? So Russians say na zdrově, right? And then they hit the cups. So in Czech, we say na zdraví, and it means you say to our health, to health.
Mm.
So every Czech person, but probably every Eastern European, experienced during his life na zdraví, health, health, because we always say health is the most important thing. Health
Mm-hmm.
is the most important thing. Chris, health is that's the most important thing. If even in a society, or if someone even says, like I even sometimes say, I say, I would rather be dying and be rich than be dying and be poor. Yeah. If I'm going to die within the next 3 weeks, I would prefer to have some money that I can still enjoy some things that I haven't had a chance to experience, or experience what good I can do with this money, rather than to just like live lie on the street and wait for 2 weeks to die, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I mean? And even going to level up, I'd rather be sick and have money than to be sick and not to have any money. And the reason I'm saying that is that, of course, health is important, but it's also important, and money is just a metaphor for having a certain standard of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if already what I have, and I was thinking, like, should I be like, is this it? Then oh my god, if someone told me, no, you'll be naked here in the desert, and that's what you will live for the rest of your life, then I would say, you know what, so kill me already, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to
Right.
enjoy it, to die here in the sun for the next 2 weeks, right? Yeah. So with regards to water fasting, I was really surprised that the benefits it has. Like every human being has this nature, universe, God given tool inside the body, which is, if you don't eat for several days and drink water only, it can have huge positive impact on your body. So then this is when I found this out in 2019, Chris, I was like, oh my god, I felt like when I was in the fourth grade, playing with like a bit with a friend, and he told me, George, do you know what he was using vulgar words, but I will not use vulgar words, and he told me, George, do you know what having sex means? And I said, no, I have no idea. What is it? And he's like, well, that's but when this person and that person, they do this, and this is how. I'm like, no way, because I went, I remembered all the times when someone would tell me, George, when you eat, you have to make sure that your pinky is like this, and when you eat, and then this teacher who was like all dressed up, when she was telling me this how I should behave, I'm like, is this she's doing this at home, right? Like, yeah, she's everyone does it, and I'm like, even my parents do it, and he's like, yeah, even your parents do it. And I remember in that, like, it's like taking off those glasses. It's like
Mm.
the perception all of the sudden changed, because from then on, every time I saw anyone just dressed like we are, or dressed like really nicely, in the end I was like, yeah, but at night and behind closed doors, oh my god, the stuff the people do, and I felt like it's like all of a sudden it's like it's like the one word is like like the Potemkin village. I don't know if you know the term. It's like from a it's like something seems a certain way to the outside, but behind the doors, it's completely behind the image. It's completely
Mm-hmm.
different. So I was so excited to start the first water fast, because I thought that I found the Holy Grail, because
Mm-hmm.
everything that I read on the internet, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta. I was like, I remember, I the night before, I felt like I was going, like I was what do you call it? The like when you're going on a vacation and you're really looking forward to your trip. The night before, it's like the trap. Like I think that in Czech we call it like traveling fever, or like
Okay.
like where you're like so excited for the trip that like several nights before that you cannot even fall asleep. So that's how I felt, that I couldn't wait. Yeah, and then it started, and I remember it was such a huge experience, so like life transforming from so many ways. That so the first water fast, I did a first, it was a week, then 2 weeks, 3 weeks. In the end, it was 50 days. The first water fast, and yeah, it, I couldn't believe it. Like, first of all, like react, like, well, what it did to me, like, so when I did the first water fast, I was 40, let's say 44 years old, and I never cooked in my life. I never cooked. Like, of
Really?
course, I made tea, or but I never cooked anything. But during the first water fast, I found out that, like when I was had the thoughts for food, what really satisfied me was watching YouTube videos of people cooking.
Yeah.
But they didn't, but not eating, but just cooking, right?
Hmm.
And as they were, but it was like, like let's say I would come home after work, and I would just go to bed, open the laptop, and I would just watch the YouTube videos, then fall asleep, and then go to work. But I would be watching the YouTube videos, and I felt, maybe I don't know if, but that's what I think what happened, that I sort of learned how to cook as I had this, huge crash course. And you know how
Hmm.
always people think that, like, if you want to reach a goal, you have to be passionate about your goal, right? Now, of course, if you want to fast for 30 days, then the only thing you are passionate about is thinking about food, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
so before the water fast ended, I had to go. I went online and I bought all the kitchen equipment, like because I didn't have anything. I had a kitchen, but I didn't have any equipment, so I bought
Hmm.
everything. And after I started cooking, and this was one thing that or one of the many things that water fasting brought into my life. And
Wow.
yeah, and also another thing that it brought was that I finally realized how to communicate my the entry point philosophy. And today I can say that it's basically part of it's like a perception, how to perceive reality around me. And somehow I realized that it's actually following the path of my life because and I'll tie it back to water fasting because I divided the philosophy into segments. And the first segment, the most important one, is I called it psychology, but I think the right way today, because again, I develop it through, it's like evolving way how I communicate it. So I think that the correct way is not psychology, but even though it's psychology, I think the better term is how to perceive reality. Because
Mm.
I realized, and it goes back to politics. I realized, Chris, that you know not everyone perceives the reality through the same filter as I do. I always, we also have a problem with immigration in the Czech Republic, right? And Czech Republic, we are a theist country, but a country that has sort of like the Christian background, right? And we have Muslim people who come here, and like all over the world, we have the situation where let's say a Muslim girl in the school wears the was it niqab, right, or hijab, well, but
Ajit,
the
yep.
hijab, yeah,
Mhm.
and then someone in the school says, well, sorry, but the rule here in the Czech Republic in the school is that no one wears anything on their head. Well, and then but and they and then there's an issue, right? And then part of the Czech people, they say, well, they came here to these are our customs. So when but when we go on a vacation to their country and we go wherever, we put their scarf on too because we respect their traditions. And when they come here to our school, they should be grateful that they are here and they should take it off. So why do they keep it on? Yeah, but if I that's one way if you look at it from this filter, right? But if I look at it from a filter that I live in a world which is created by a creator, which and this creator is watching me how I live life. He tells me this is how I would want you to live your life, because depending on how you live your life, that's how you will after your life, how will you will continue. And one
Mm.
of the rules is you have to cover your head. Then it's not solvable, right? Because
Right.
it's almost like saying it's like a sort of like, again, I'm not going to be the I like, what I mean, because the way I like to talk is that, like, I don't care if it should be like this, like that. I just like to look at it and say this is a very interesting issue, and to understand the issue, you have to look at it through all the points of views, realize all the filters that the people have, and in fact, you then realize it's almost unsolvable, right? So anyway, These are I realized that the first step, the first segment, the most important thing is how we perceive reality. And I realized that in 2017, in May, I completely changed the way I perceive reality. And this is what I describe in the segment one, because I think that that's exactly how it is in everyone's life. Because if if you recall the first thought you had in your life, let's call that's like the moment you realize that you are. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
if if before you don't recall anything, then let's call it that it's like you have not realized that you are, because the
Right.
second you realized you are that, and and you can, and even if you say, but you know what, I realized it probably before and I don't remember anymore. Well, it doesn't matter, uh, but still, let's talk about the first, for the sake of the first moment you realize that you are. That's the moment you realize you must have realized that either you are a soul, you like I am a soul inside of a body, and it's called Chris or George, and I live in this country, and I go to school, and you know what I mean. It's like,
Hmm.
and that's like the first step. It's like the first lens how you should, like, because we are like right now you are. I don't even have to understand. I know that you are probably in some type of a room, right? And the reason I can tell is because I probably perceive life in a similar model as you are, and probably because we were able to connect, we have also similar way that we perceive reality. But again, if we would come up with, how we should, if we were the judges, let's say Supreme Court in the Czech Republic, and they would say, so, Chris and George, how should we solve this situation with the school classroom? You know, should the girl be allowed to wear it, or should she not be allowed to wear it, right? And if, let's say, you and I, there is no constitution that we are the ones who at the moment we are the real true judges,
Hmm.
then you first have to realize the filters, right? Because the correct way, probably, which no one would say, is that, you know what, in reality you are two humans, two homo sapiens that are here. You are trying to teach your kids to prepare for the future so they can survive in this reality. And unfortunately, because you have you are homo sapiens, you have these filters, that you have these cultural stories. I have this book here. I don't know if you I really recommend this book, Sapiens. I don't know if you heard about it.
I
it's
haven't.
it's just like it describes everything about how humans view life, and how we came here. And one of the big reasons that we are the way we are is that humans believe in fictional stories. Now, when I say fictional stories, I mean a fictional story that I am George. you know I am not really George. I'm a homo sapiens, and the humans around me when I was born agreed that they were going to call me by this word, right?
Hmm.
But because we all believe this fictional story, because we all believe the fictional story about money, then we can be really effective and use it as a tool and communicate very effectively, right?
Right.
So again, going back to the first, how you view reality, it's extremely important. So that's what I talk about in the first segment. And the second segment, the most important thing, after you sort of realize where you are and you set up the proper way of viewing the reality, then the second thing is that you have to get your body to work. And for me, after I did all the 12 water fasts, right? Because again, if I view the reality properly, but I am sick, again, I cannot do anything, right? So the
Hmm.
second step, the second segment is health. And I actually just published a video where I talk about all the things that I learned about how to perceive health. And I would say that for me, everything just like came together when I realized that I must stop looking at the way we eat and at our bodies from a point of view of my life, not only from a point of view of my parents' life, but that I have to look at it from a point of view of my DNA, because our DNA has been basically the same for the past 250,000 years. And if I know that sugars and carbohydrates came with farming 10,000 years ago, and if I know that evolution is a really slow process, then I'm probably the DNA, this body, your body, our bodies are probably not made for eating sugars and carbohydrates 6 times a day for many years, right?
Hmm.
So then told myself, okay, that's very interesting. So then I was looking at like, so what were the humans eating for the past 230,000 years, because that's probably what the DNA is really fine tuned for.
Hmm.
And probably the what humans came from, which was here, let's say 10, 20 million years before that, it probably was eating the same way that the humans were. So when I looked at it from this point of view, I realized that green vegetables were here, that probably fruit was here, but especially like, let's say the climate was like here in the Czech Republic, I cannot live off fruit in the Czech Republic if I have to fight off animals and the cold, right? So fruit was just like an occasional benefit. So it was green plants and what's and probably some animals, right? So and then I thought to myself, okay, that's an interesting hypothesis. So then I checked if from green vegetables and if from meat, if I can get all the essential vitamins and acids that the body needs, right? Like for example, like that from red meat and from chicken, like from like you don't get the omega 3 and omega 6 acids. So also have to eat fish to get these ones, the essential ones. Do you know that? Do you know it or no? Sorry.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so yeah, so you that's why, because like okay, somehow, because in the Czech Republic we don't have that much like we don't have any sea, we only have rivers. So we eat a lot of chicken, pork, and beef, and we are always told every now and then you have to eat fish because it gives you the omega 3 and omega 6 fatty acids which are not in the other meat, right? So this what this is all like from the meat and the green vegetables, you get all the essential things that the body needs, right? So this led me
George,
into
where would the fish get the? How would the fish develop these omegas? If you have to eat the fish to get it, where would the fish get it from?
I understand. Okay, okay, I'll give you okay. So I have no idea from a point of view if they have to, like, if they get it somewhere and they through them you get it into yourself, or whether the way their bodies and metabolism is structured that somehow it's inside their body. But when I was investigating this, I went even further because I thought to myself, you know what? Let's look at the first ancestor came about 500 million years ago out of the sea, and that one, when he came out of the sea, the only thing that they could eat was green vegetables, and there was another species here which was insect. Now, then I thought to myself, and I did a video about this, that basically the prototype diet, the ultimate diet for humans, is green vegetables and insect. And this the reason I'm saying this is that insect is the actually the only food that has all the essential fatty acids that the red meat and the fish has. So, like to answer your question, I think that it's when you said, where does the fish get these fatty acids? I don't know if they are getting them somewhere because these fatty acids are also present in the insect. And it makes sense because really, the first lizard or whatever it looked like that was here for 300 million years, the only thing that it was eating was green vegetables that were here. The insect that came out of the water with the vegetable with the flowers, and so it was eating insect, green vegetables. So that's vitamin K in green vegetables. That's all the essential ones that we need from the insect. And then the third vitamin, I think it's D. It comes from the eggs. So I was thinking, where, like, did they eat eggs? And I realized that these lizards, they were laying eggs. So they were probably eating the eggs of the other lizards who were there. So the reason I'm saying that is that I look at the way I eat today from a point of view of a caveman. And I'm actually, right now, as we speak, starting New Year's, I decided, because I had this idea that I will not do water fasting anymore. And I tried to something that I called entry point lifestyle now. And the
Mm-hmm.
idea was that because that one day I would water fast, and the next day I would eat, and the next day
Mm-hmm.
I would water fast, and the next day I would eat, and the day that I would eat, I would not eat any carbohydrates or sugars, right? So I would just eat green vegetables and meat.
Okay.
Because again, if I would eat sugars and carbohydrates, that would be devastating because it would completely, because you have to be ketosis, in order for this to work. Because if you start eating sugars, the body cannot consume the fats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts eating. Oh, well, you have to. If I'm 100% convinced, if I don't eat carbohydrates and sugars, it will be fine. So I've been doing this now for again. I think today was it like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or 26, 27. So yeah, so I've been doing for 26, 27 days.
Mm-hmm.
And just to tell you, it's very interesting that I have not been alternating, but I've been doing. It feels like well, I today was my ninth day eating during this year, right?
Okay.
And what's really cool is that the 1 day, 2 day fast is because one of the main benefits that I had during water fasting was something that I called that I was getting into flow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and I mean, I would even say that when people ask me, George, why do you do water fasting? Don't you love food? And I always say, I love food. I love food. Oh my god, I love food. Yeah, I cannot imagine life without food because I feel like it's so nice even now because before that I would always just like eat 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 eat, but
Right.
now I like enjoying it as an activity to do with other people. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
really like. That's like when I used to travel to China. I really like the hot bowl setup that everyone's sitting around the corner and eating the like together from one pot. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I would say that that's what I'm doing right now. It's part of the second segment, how I view life as a caveman. So uh, so since 2019, so in 4 years, I when I did the standard fast, which went the longest one was 70 days, and so I think I did about 520 days within 4 years, right? So that's like let's say a third, I don't know, four quarter, I don't know, of the 4 years.
Yeah.
But now, it's I feel that it's like I'll be probably finishing this month with 10 days eating and 20 days fasting. And
Mm.
the reason I was saying is when people say, like, well, how can you give up food? I say, I give up the food because I get into a state that I call the flow. I don't have to sleep. I'm super productive. Inside, I feel that everything is happening by itself. And I'm
Mm.
just like in a like little calm Zen mode. And in the end, I see that in professional life. And that's, when I was mentioning the let's say what I do, the marketing director position in an IT company. I wasn't mentioning it to like talk about my status or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I was mentioning it that these things that I talk about, I use them in the professional environment because
Mm-hmm.
I always hated. when someone is like in the the super zen, but they are late for the meeting, they are late for the deadlines, and it's messing up lives of other people, and they just say, relax, we are all part. No, 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 I'm saying that, you know what I mean? Like, I use this in a like when I do campaigns for top hardware manufacturers, I use this approach. Like, this is where I'm in zen, and I see how I have super ideas, and everything's coming together. And unfortunately, or I don't know, well, I'm still in part of my life where I have to perform, and I also
Mm,
want to perform because I feel that I want to be, in top shape, not from the perception and physically, but to be, if again it goes back to money. I always like to have some money, because when people say no, 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 that, like, you're money centric and health is everything, and I say no, 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 you are you are too selfish to realize that the more money you have, the more people you can help. Because it has happened to me so many times that someone would come to me, really like a close person, and they would say, George, I really need this amount of money. Please help me. And I would say, you know what? I would love to, but damn, I'm in a life situation where I cannot help you.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I always use an analogy with the universal insurance salesman. You know that I should always be happy for you to do well, because if you do well, the universal insurance person who's going to evaluate me, I'm going to be scored higher because my friend Chris is doing better
Mm-hmm.
than, if like, again, if all my friends are the most influential people in the world, my scoring will be higher than if all my friends are broke people who are on the streets and who are fighting for their own survival. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so to sort of like tie the intro, and how I happened was that I started after forming the philosophy. I started doing my YouTube channel in English, because I felt like it was interesting to talk about how you can view life so that you feel happy, how you can view life and perceive health so you are healthy. And I'm looking forward to doing my third segment, which is the third, after you have the way you perceive life and your body in order. Then the third thing that you have to do, also as a little kid, is as soon as possible to learn how to use this. So you have to learn as soon as possible a language, how to communicate, right? You have to learn as soon as possible how to read. You have to learn as soon as possible how to count. And one day, you are adult, and and you realize that it's not true that once you finish school, when you're 20 or 25, that you don't have to learn anything anymore and you will be fine like our ancestors for the rest of your life. Learn,
Mm-hmm.
being fine with what you have. No, no, no. We live in a reality, especially with the outbreak of AI. That's so, like, you probably feel it. Like, I remember I went to see my dentist, and because I always go there just to check during water fasting if everything's fine with my teeth. And when I'm there, and I said, when was the last time I was here? And I'm like, oh yeah, it was before AI was released, right? Because it was like a year and a half. And I'm like, oh my God, I experiencing really like the paradigms and everything changing in life, right? So for this, the third segment that I'm going to be doing, and I think it's really important after health, and that's how to like accelerated learning, how to quickly learn a new skill so that you can apply it in real life. Like, it's not about like how to learn how to juggle as soon as possible, but today I feel that the approach should be, find out how much money you need to live a good life, then check what job or profession is the profession that offers this money, and then do a rapid learning course so that in 2 3 months you learn it enough so that you can get in that field. And
Mm.
'Cause I don't know what your experience is with the AI. I use it every day. I think I use it sort of in a different manner than like average people in the Czech Republic, for example, use it, and as a tool for rapid learning. For
Mm,
It's just unbelievable. So this is what I'm
yeah.
going to be concentrating on, because that's the third part, right? After you know where you are and what's going on, and after you get the body working well and you feel fine, then you have to learn some skills so you can start working in the reality. Yeah, yeah. So that's, sorry for talking this long, but yeah, that's my, that's like in a short thing, my thing. Yeah.
It's been very enlightening hearing your story. Um, Fortunately, you've pretty much answered the majority of the questions I had for you. Your glasses being one of them. I thought it was interesting that there was a story behind your glasses, because I noticed the glasses. Um, the evolution that you went through is the wellness journey holistically, and you're obviously still evolving, going through that process. And I love the dedication, how you have immersed yourself in this process, because a lot of times I find people, they're really looking to others to give them their experience, and they will just adopt that experience versus
Hmm.
having their own true experience and kind of understanding their own perception of reality. They adopt someone else's, which, I mean, you touched on as far as the different perspectives that people have on reality. It's been extremely enlightening, to say the least. uh, I was curious to know, because this journey started with you with this campaign, kind of like this political campaign. Do you ever plan to go back into that realm at some point, or have your goals shifted now?
You know, okay. So when I talked about the segments, so the first one, and this is my answer to with regards to politics. So the first segment is, you have to perceive life. Where I am. Second one is health. Get the body working. I always call it that the first segment is the software, and the health is the hardware. Now, once you have the software and hardware in order, then you have to learn a new skill. You have to learn something, right? You have to learn how to use this, and you have to learn how to use this so that it's beneficial for the society, so you can capture food, energy, money, whatever. So that's the third step. So once I have these skills, that once I have this skill, then the fourth segment is how to use these skills so that in today's world, so that's how to get a job, how to how to how to work as an employee, how to work, because I had my own company. So how to run a company, how to work in a corporate company, how
Hmm.
to run a small business, big business, how to solve things in how to. So again, so once you have the skill, if you don't know how to apply it, you know what I mean? I can be the best at whatever skill, but if I'm an asshole to my coworkers, they will probably kick me out and get someone else who has the skill, right? So
Hmm.
that's the first one, right? How to apply the skill in reality. Then once you know how to apply it, then that will be the fifth segment. That's about money. And finally, like you have money, and then how to manage it and what to do with it and how to work with it. And once you have all of this in order, meaning I understand where I am at, my body and health is fine. I know how to to learn new skills. So if the field that I am at disappears, immediately I can adapt. Right. So
Mm,
adaptation in 2 days. So that's what it is.
mm,
Again, once I know I can learn the skills, if I can really apply it, that it can generate me something. And then when I have that something and I know how to manage it, meaning I can manage money, then what's really important, and I'm really upset that no one is talking about it, but it's how to choose life's partner.
mm,
Because it's in the Czech Republic, we have the divorce rate is over 50%. Now, if the divorce rate is over 50%, that doesn't mean that the other 50% of couples are happy.
Right.
That because there is a lot of them who stay together because of the kids, because
Mm-hmm.
of the property, because of their friends, but that still means that there are two people who should not be together. Now when you
Mm-hmm.
realize that, oh my god, from my point of
Mm-hmm.
view, it means, because I think the stats are probably similar all over the Western world, this
Yes.
means that, again, one of the let's say if I'm a politician, right, and I realize this, and I realize that the number one factor for any one of us to be successful in today's society is that we come from a whole family, that which is that we then and I know as a politician that not only that 50% of the families are divorced and they're collapsing, but the other ones are probably the kids are not growing up in an environment that they see two people cooperating and loving each other.
Right.
Then probably the first reason should be, you know what, I will give you a compulsory study at school to learn how to choose the proper partner in your life.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not about if the sex is great, and it's not about, oh, I felt a great energy.
Right.
No, it's about if the times are tough, if these two people together have it better than if they are separated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, so that's the second step, to choose a partner. Once you have the partner that you can really, really, for, let's say, for 12 months live together and keep all the bills saved up, then the next step is to let's have a child. And again,
Mm.
I'm really surprised how, like, that I don't know how it's in the US, but I think it's the same all over Western
Same.
countries. That the fact that you are the biological father or mother of a concrete child, immediately that means that you know the best, absolutely the best, what's the best for your child. Now, I really shocked because I have not experienced anyone really learning how they should how to bring up a child, because
Mm-hmm.
now it's given that, well, the fact that you were brought up yourself in some environment, and that you watch TV and you were brought up in school and you listen to some things people, that once you have a child, that you know how to bring this child up, how to so the reason I'm saying that is that another segment is how to communicate within family, because people, you know, this is an issue. And again, as I'm going up, then once you have all this settled, that you are making money, you are healthy, you have the skills, that you have a partner, you know how to bring up the kids, you know how to communicate. Here comes politics. And politics is that you finally, as Jordan Peterson said, this is that you finally tidied up your room, and now you can take this philosophy and start bringing up to the people around you. And again, what's the perception? Well, we all are humans here. We live here in this neighborhood, and you know what? Let's again. I've never experienced here in Czech Republic where someone would say, you know what? On Saturday morning, let's all go outside and clean the street, because obviously the city somehow is not keeping up. Let's make it nice here. Well, no one would does it here. Again,
Mm.
and no one, but if in our family we would say, hey, you know what? Let's clean the fridge together, because I don't want to do it by myself. Then we would all do it together.
Right.
But
Right.
if it's outside, no, 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 no. We have to call the special cleaning lady that will do our kitchen at home, because we don't want to
Mm.
touch it.
Mm.
So that's my long, long answer to you, which is I will for sure get involved in politics, and I will get involved for sure in politics after I record all the segments all the way to politics, because for me, when I do the segment how to perceive politics, it will be called Entry Point Politics. And
Mm.
it will be, and the first video that I will do, that I will say I'm announcing that I will be running from the president for the president of the Czech Republic, and I will probably do it. I think with the tempo that I'm working on the segments, I think that the presidential elections we will have here in 4 years, I will miss those. But then I think 5 years from now, that's what I will announce. That's my prediction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I gotta say, I would vote for you. I I do. I mean, I would, man. I love the way you're approaching this. We have a very similar viewpoint, I'll say, on how to approach this. Um, the example about the refrigerator is just so key because I've noticed that society as a whole, what the powers at B, what they try to do is make sure that we're very divided. And if we were to come together as a family, as a human family, we would solve 80% of our problems,
Yeah.
just like that. But you're right, we don't view each other as family. But at one point, I think we did, at least in larger segments outside of the nuclear family or, blood relatives. We had communities, large communities or villages, and we did view everybody as a family member. And I think as a whole, we did much better. So moving back to that is very important. And I'm in agreement and alignment with the progression of how you approach this as well. I think it's extremely well thought out, but it's also based on your experience
Yeah.
and not just reading a book or you know, adopting someone else's theory or ideology. And it's interesting that as you are going through your process, it's evolving so naturally. This flow is evolving because you're doing the work, and so you're being rewarded for doing that work. And of course, one day I'm sure you'll write a book, right? And people will want
So,
to adopt. Oh, you already
so
have it.
no, 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 no. So look. So after my second water fast, I like it's in Czech, right? But I
Hmm.
was so amazed what was happening that I'll show you. Because it's like a, so I did like I draw like the thing about my experience, right? And I did it with like with these QR codes that take you to the. So for example, like when I did the Facebook video about water fasting, and people
Oh
started
yeah.
attacking me
Hmm.
like crazy. So then I write it in this little 50-page booklet, and I
Hmm.
add a QR code so that when you look at it, it takes you actually to the concrete concrete post. So,
Mm.
but you're right. I really like for the future. I really want to write it down, and I feel that one of the ways, and that's again back going to why I do the why I publish it, is that I have it as a sort of like an archive for myself. That one day,
Right.
I'll just throw it all into AI and say, look, download all the hours of videos that I did and put it into some 2-page booklet, and so that I have it, right. Yeah, so
Mm.
yeah, I would be writing something like this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, George, I want to give people an opportunity to learn how they can find you, how they can contact you, get in touch
Mhm.
with you, learn more about Entry Point and everything that you have going on, and maybe follow your story for the next few years until
Mhm.
you ultimately announce your campaign for president. I would love to, tell us where we can find you and connect.
Yeah. So I think the best place now, because again it's evolving, right? So now for Entry Point, I set up a website called entrypointacademia.org, and there I'll be like putting up the information. And again, I always say like it's nothing I do for money. I do it for because I feel that it can really, because you know what, I am 100% convinced that if everyone virtually was wearing these glasses and was
Mm.
perceiving life the way I perceive it, my life would be so much better. Oh my
Absolutely.
God.
Yeah.
And I know in such society I would thrive so much, but not only me, but also the others.
Hmm.
Because then, there would not be this fluff that you and I get through in order for us to communicate. Because there's always this fluff of all these people trying to, whatever. Yeah. So
Hmm.
entrypointacademia.org. And then I also have a, and I think that's also a good start, and it's my name, Yuri George Dvorak.eu. And I think it goes back again to the online stuff that I like to publish it because I want people to understand that, like, I'm talking about my experience, right? Because in
Mhm.
2017, when I was in the lowest point of my life, I realized that I told myself what later I found out that that's exactly what Socrates was saying, and that's
Mm,
you only that I only know that I know nothing. And I
mm,
realized that my mistake my whole life was that I always thought that I and the society knows everything. So I
yes.
was going according some, I was given glasses that I didn't know I had on my eyes. So then I ripped everything down and I said, you know what? From now on, I will find my own way, regardless what people are saying, and that's why how I was able to change the way I perceive life, and that's what I described in the first level, the segment one, and that's how I was able to completely while I was putting the things on Facebook, and people were screaming at me, "You are crazy! Look at yourself! You look so unhealthy! You
Yeah.
look like you are going to die!" People were going to call police for me for stopping me for telling people that I drink water only and that it feels great. It's crazy.
Yeah. Trust me,
Yeah.
we've all been there. Anybody that's spreading whenever you have a truth that you are spreading and you are disrupting the status quo, the programming that people have been given, you're going to get major pushback. But that's also an indicator that you're on the right path. So that's just what it is. When you are blazing a trail, when you are in the process of literally changing the reality around you, people are going to get uncomfortable and they're going to lash out. That's the way we're programmed. That's how we've been programmed.
Mhm.
So yeah, this has been very enlightening, and I appreciate you spending this time with us today. And I want to make sure that everybody hits the like button. If you guys enjoyed this conversation, this is what we do. We bring, this year, I have a goal to bring people from different cultures, different countries, and different realities, and really start to fill up our wellness cup, because I think that seeing perspectives on wellness from different people, it's going to be able to affect more people in our community and help us have a more holistic wellness journey. So, subscribe. And as always, the application of knowledge is power. And I will see you all next time.